Story 1. Everything. I would have said yes to many more opportunities and taken more risks if I had known that a few months before my 30th birthday, I would suddenly become so chronically ill that my entire life as I knew it would end. I would have done much more if I had only known how my entire world would be limited to the inside of my parents' house because I could no longer look after myself in doctors' offices. Do not ever take your health for granted. Story 2. Reading this as a 22-year-old is very enlightening. It makes me feel like I still have time to figure things out. Thank you all. I want to express heartfelt appreciation for all the replies. I read every one of them, and they have given me perspective and value about where I am right now. I had been feeling a lot of pressure since I will be graduating college soon, but now I feel like I am in a good place and still have plenty of time to create a path for my life. I had been feeling like I was supposed to be at a certain point or that my life was already determined by what I have done so far, but that is clearly not true. I have never felt so hopeful. Story 3. Set boundaries and stick to them. Do not let other people take advantage of you. Story 4. I'm in the last year of my 20s, and here is what I would do. I would choose to be more focused on myself. I was so focused on providing others with the best of me that I neglected myself for far too long. I would take more risks and get out of my comfort zone more. Instead of creating a fantasy of someone's potential, I would take what they gave me at face value. I would speak up for myself more and not allow others to make me feel less than. I would learn about passive income and invest. I wouldn't be afraid to move on from anything. Jobs, friends, family, relationships, or cities. I would do what I wanted fully. I would savor the moments more. It wasn't until I hit 25 that I really started to see how quickly everything changed. I would never take my time for granted and would stop to appreciate life more. I would ask for help more. I was too prideful to seek help or anyone else's advice. I wish I had looked for a mentor and therapist earlier to help me along the way. Story 5. Make mistakes and experiment more, but also be less formal. Care less about people who do not actually matter to you and more about those who do. Go straight to school or start working in the industry I only discovered when I was 30. Love myself more. Story 6. Sophisticated summer might enter humorous quaint society oatmeal include lip. Story 7. I would skip the impulse purchases and invest in a few good stocks. Story 8. Absolutely nothing. All my unwise choices led to me meeting my partner. Story 9. I would have studied psychology. Now I know what I want in life. I want to be a therapist. How do they expect 18-year-olds to know what they want to do for the rest of their lives? I also would love if they incorporated a semester of learning about different careers, interviewing people, and so on in high school. That way, we would not waste money on a career we do not actually want. Story 10. Almost everything. The chance to redo your 20s with the emotional intelligence and life experience of a 50-year-old sounds amazing. Story 11. For the most part, I am satisfied with how I spent my 20s, but there are two things I would change. First, I would not have focused so much on dating. I realized in my mid-20s that dating was not for me, but I kept wasting time on it. So much stress could have been avoided. Second, I would have started pursuing my actual dream earlier. I have always dreamed of being a novelist, but the odds of becoming a paid, published writer are so low that I did not even bother trying. I went to college for computer science, something I was always good at but never passionate about. I got a good job, saved for 9 years, and eventually quit last year to pursue a writing career. I would not change the part about working for 9 years and saving during my 20s, but I would have at least squeezed in a few hours to write and hone my craft every day, rather than waiting until I was 34. When I think of the material I could have finished in that span of time and the lessons I would have learned, I get a bit upset with myself for not starting sooner. Story 12. Study. Just study. Take government funding for as much study money as possible. Moratorium on any partying, friendship circles, or anything distracting. Get the degree, trade, or qualification. Have courage. Invest in my own competency. The rest would not take care of itself, but my focus would have been clearer. Story 13. Quaint deliver fearless silky afterthought plants repeat file cooperative heavy. Story 14. Go to the dentist regularly. Every mistake made me the person I am today. Person with dentures. Story 15. I would have left that abusive relationship when I first noticed the warning signs instead of ignoring them. Story 16. Most of it, my 20s were a roller coaster of bad decisions. Story 17. Talk to my 3 living grandparents and ask them many questions. I am in my 30s now with no living grandparents, and suddenly I have many questions about their lives, their parents, and the world as they knew it. I wish I could ask them. Story 18. Follow through purchasing hundreds of Bitcoin. I was a single click away, but I did not because I felt it was silly. Story 19. Never take a drink. Although it was fun at the time, it led to trouble and emotional pain. Story 20. Attend more concerts. This is my true regret. The artists I could have seen. Also, buy property instead of renting, which would have given me more money today to attend more concerts. Story 21. Nothing. I am very content knowing that I lived my life fully, and I would not be where I am now if I had not made mistakes and had the crazy times I did in my 20s. I have never and will never care about retiring rich. I would rather live a rich life and retire okay if I even make it that long. I have never understood the mentality that drives people to spend their entire lives worrying about having money when they are too old to do anything with it. Strap me in a virtual reality pod with a nutrient tube when I am 80, and I will be good with my memories and the video games of 2070. Story 22. Finish school properly and treat my wife better. We are still married, but I should have treated her as she deserved from the beginning. It has been a learning experience. Story 23. Do not spend all my savings on women in the hopes of having a romantic encounter. Story 24. Travel more, hitchhike across the country, which was very common back then. Smoke more marijuana and have more fun while you are young. Instead, I did what my parents wanted me to do. Now I am too old to do many of the things I wanted to do. Story 25. Save money and a lot of women. Grandpa Little Miss Sunshine had a great point. Story 26. Make a routine of reaching out to friends before they become strangers again. Eat better and exercise beyond 30 minutes of walking a day. Try to buy Nintendo stock before March 3rd, 2017. Story 27. End the relationship with my ex and pursue the intelligent, attractive man I met in college. Story 28. I would not drink and drive anymore. I got a driving under the influence charge in my 20s, but I could have gotten a much harsher penalty. That was the last time I drove while intoxicated. Now, I rarely drink at all, maybe 3 or 4 beers a year. I let my wife drink, and I am the designated driver. Story 29. Work fewer jobs. Sleep more. Avoid feeling exhausted all the time. Story 30. I would relax. Realize everyone else is just as affected as I am, and actually enjoy myself. Story 31. Have as much consensual sex as possible. At 60, those become cherished memories. Story 32. Stop calling myself overweight. Start saving money. Do not get married. Story 33. Treat better the man who loved me, and I did not appreciate him at the time. Story 34. Stop drinking. I stopped in my mid-30s, but I lost a lot of time, money, and experiences that I wish I could have back. Story 35. Take mental therapy more seriously and go to a psychologist to admit all of my problems so I can heal properly. Story 36. Pull the trigger on Bitcoin and Tesla. I did not have much money, but I wanted to get into investing, and those two were in my sights around 2014. I figured that just a couple $1,000s a year would not make much of a difference, so I spent my money on being a college student, trips, nights out, and so on. I do not regret the experiences, but I have a feeling it would have been life-changing money 10 years later. Hindsight is 2020, though. Story 37. Work less and enjoy more time with my friends and parents. Story 38. Probably no college. Technical or trade school instead. Better pay and more opportunities if you get into the right specialty. A few specific medical treatments took a while to figure out that I needed, and a therapist that worked for me. Story 39. I would have joined the Air Force after high school much sooner than going to undergraduate and graduate school. I would have relished the opportunity to live an adult life with responsibilities so much earlier. Also, I would have loved the chance to travel internationally and serve the country. Side note, I did end up going to undergraduate and graduate school but took the community college route to get where I am now. Story 40. I wouldn't have wasted so much time on boys who weren't worth it. I met my husband without trying at 26 or 27, and it just worked. When it's good, it works. It doesn't cause pain and turmoil. More than 15 years later, it's still good. Story 41. Start working for a utility company at 20 did not even cross my mind. I got the job at 28 and I missed out on some cash. Story 42. Definitely get therapy and change my major regardless of what people say. Story 43. I would have invested more in cryptocurrency and spent less on unnecessary things. Story 44. I wouldn't take up the family farm. I was talked into it with a promise of inheriting the assets in business, split between my brothers and me. After 10 years of profitable management, the farm is being sold by my grandfather's generation. They took over control of the estate upon his passing. Unfortunately, only one of his brothers remains. The rest are family by marriage and view our inheriting the farm as unfair to their own children. I'll get my payout, but that's not why I worked this hard. The older generation is now upset with us because we will miss our profit projections for the first time. The farm has supported them entirely for the last 20 years. Apparently, we are likely affecting their living standards. Story 45. Just about everything. I would have never gone into teaching. That profession has been destroyed by no child left behind. Story 46. Wear a condom. Or better yet, do not ever sleep with her in the first place. Story 47. Number 1. Be a better friend to my friends. I am a good person by most accounts. However, not realizing how much I could be there for others has cost us all so much. I undervalued myself, thinking I had nothing to offer. My biggest regret in life so far, probably forever, is that I was not there for my friend when he needed me. Number 2. Not drink as much. I was functional and my health is fine, but it was such a waste of time. Number 3. Be more deliberate about life. More deliberate about work. More deliberate about fun. More deliberate about what I want and what I do not want. Not as much in the big picture of just going with the flow. Going with the flow is fine in the details, such as what shall we do this weekend or where do you want to eat tonight, but not in the overall direction of what to do and be in this life. Story 48. Work harder to find my own way out and go straight to blue-collar work. I am good at that. I found out much later that I don't mind a 9 to 5 and free weekends. It is simple. Story 49. Drink significantly less and focus more on health. Staying in good shape is much easier than trying to get back into shape in your 30s. Story 50. I would get an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder diagnosis a decade earlier, take some weightlifting classes in college, wait to sell my Bitcoin, and not take a massive pay cut to work in an industry that was about to take a nosedive. Story 51. I would insist on going back to school for the education of my choosing so that I would not be where I am now. I trusted my husband, and that ended up being a mistake. He only ever had his own best interests at heart, never anyone else's. Took me too long to see that, and now I worry it is too late. Story 52. I would never consume alcohol or stimulants. It would change everything. Do not do drugs, kids. Somehow, I made it to my 30s with a solid foundation. Story 53. I was mining Bitcoin back when you could with a consumer graphics card. I guess I let people talk me out of it, saying it was silly. But things are good. I have enough money to take care of myself. Story 54. Go to vocational school instead. Desk and information technology jobs burn me out completely, and physical work is more satisfying. I was 35 when I made the switch to culinary arts, and I wish I had done this sooner. Having random people you know just call you chef when you are out is kind of cool too. Story 55. I'm still in my 20s, but if I went back 10 years, here's what I would do. 1. Start college immediately. The one thing I've learned is that you're never going to feel ready, so it's best to just do it. 2. I know what kind of career I want now, so I would pick a major relevant to that instead of remaining undecided for so long. 3. Move to the city I'm in now for college. 10 years ago, a one-bedroom apartment here would have been perfectly affordable for what I make. It would have put much-needed distance between me and certain controlling family members, as well as helped my health issues clear up, which is partially why I put off college for so long in the first place. 4. Study and work harder. My work ethic was poor when I was younger because I wasted my time on social bonds. If I had studied more and taken a full course load every semester instead of wasting time on people who would eventually backstab me, I could have had a 4.0 GPA every semester instead of a 3.9 and graduated years ago. 5. Get my driver's license earlier. 6. Never drop out of that paid internship. Story 56. The only thing I would do differently is put myself in therapy so I could be a better husband and father. I got married at 20 and had children at 23 and 25. Because I had not dealt with my issues, I was difficult for many years. If I had addressed everything then, life would have been a lot easier for everyone. Story 57. For me, it was trial and error. I did not have anyone holding my hand or giving me advice. I was a first-generation college student and the first in my family to have a professional job. I wish I had known what I wanted to do back then. I wish I had finished all my schooling and started living life by age 29 or 30 at the latest. I made a midlife career change around age 34, and it really disrupted my timeline. Story 58. I would not get married. I would save my money and would not take a 3-year work gap for any reason other than that I could. I would put money into retirement. Story 59. Do not date the woman who is only referred to as the boat anchor. Story 60. Stay in the Coast Guard. I could have been drawing a pension and working a job for the past 9 years. Story 61. Find an exercise routine I liked that was sustainable. Story 62. I chose the wrong partners, took drugs, worked difficult jobs, and made many mistakes I am not proud of. While not perfect, I like where I am. I would not change what led me to my current partner in life, or I could just brush my teeth more. Let's go with that. Story 63. Join the military. Do not get married. Never live near my family. Story 64. Marry early and have children early. After the 30s, one starts losing energy. The earlier, the better the perspective on what one wants to do in life. Story 65. Choose a career that maximizes income. It turns out that all work can be difficult, so you might as well earn the most money doing it. Edit. Never turn down any woman you have a chance with instead of holding back out of fear or low self-esteem. You might have found love much sooner or at least had a better experience. Story 66. Never get too serious over one girl. Forget that foolish idea from books, TV, movies, and songs about your one true flame, soulmate, or perfect match. Ask out many girls, learn to handle rejection, and do not focus on one girl, thinking she will never leave you, never fail to support your dreams, or never betray you. Concentrate on your education and career. Do not let any girl affect your emotions, especially before age 30. Just do not. Story 67. Hands down, choosing a different career and not saying no to the love that came my way. Story 68. 1. I work hard to avoid gaining weight. It has been a challenge since my mid-20s. 2. I invest $125 per week into a simple option like the S&P 500 index. It is a form of passive investing. Story 69. Did not get hung up on just one girl but played the field. Also, bought stock in Apple. Story 70. Avoid marrying my first wife. She was very cute and fun, but we should never have been married. Story 71. I think I did pretty well with what I was given. Left people, places, and things if they caused harm. Started a 401k in my early 20s, but maybe I would actually contribute to it more regularly to set myself up better in the future. Same with investing. Not going back to school right away after graduating was good for me and my mental health, but maybe going back in my 20s would have been a little more beneficial work-wise. Overall, I am good with my 20s. Story 72. Not be a pushover and move out to experience life without the nonsense from my parents. I would have been more responsible with my time and stopped using drugs. Story 73. Invest my money when the coronavirus crash happened. I could have been a millionaire now. Story 74. I really put some thought into a career path that required using my brain, something challenging, the opposite of my current 18-year career. Story 75. I would have shared my hard truths at the beginning stages of my relationships instead of slowly revealing them over a decade. Story 76. Definitely apply myself. I worked dead-end jobs for a long time until I found a good company and worked to advance there. I am almost 40 now and doing a job where most colleagues are 26 years old. I have a wonderful daughter who is my whole world. So maybe I wouldn't have her if I had done things differently. Story 77. Not care about what other people think, not try to be cool, and not drink as much. Story 78. I used to ski, bicycle, kayak, and do all the outdoor exercises I enjoy but do not always have time for now. I spent most of my 20s sitting in front of a computer screen. I am making up for lost time, but I have more obligations now, and everything generally hurts more in your 40s. Story 79. I would have gone to all those Grateful Dead concerts sober. Story 80. Actually live my life and enjoy it. I would also do more to improve myself financially. I would appreciate the things I have more and enjoy the people in my life more. Story 81. Diet, exercise, spend more time with my father who passed away from cancer in April of this year, try to be more outgoing. Basically, I would redo everything. Story 82. I would take more calculated risks without the fear of failure holding me back. Learning from mistakes is invaluable. Story 83. I wish I had traveled much more. I am now in a spot with children, a job, and a mortgage. Story 84. Travel. I spent the years when I could have spent the money on travel, saving for a wedding, then a house, then a family, then retirement. I wish I had had a lot more adventure. Story 85. Well, I am still 26, but if I could go back to age 20, I would focus more on my diet, physical activity, and emotional health. Everything fell into disarray growing up, and my family did not make any attempt to help beyond doing things for me, which was not helpful. It took me until age 24 to realize how bad it was and that I had to teach myself all of these things, or I would not last very long. I am grateful I did not become even more overweight than I almost did. Story 86. Take school seriously or consider learning a trade instead. Do not party and drink all the time. Be less selfish. Do not listen to my father on how to live my life. Invest and save money. Read more. Move out of my hometown. Eat better. Story 87. Save money. Invest. Party less. Use more skincare products and travel more. Story 88. Still in my 20s, but I would find different friends and become more interested in what I want to do with my life. Story 89. I did not start my family in my 20s. I waited until I was ready for it. Of course, I did not know what being ready meant until I was 40. Story 90. Say yes to more things. Easier said than done. But I let my anxiety keep me from having many potentially great experiences, friendships, and relationships. Story 91. I wouldn't do meth. I had a lot of fun and I stopped easily before I was 30. But God, what toxic substances did I put in my body to have a good time? Story 92. Exercise more frequently and watch what I eat. I started with the freshman 15 and now I am carrying the retiree 40. Story 93. Don't go to university. We need infinite scientists and engineers was an absolute meme we were indoctrinated with in high school. Now the science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine job market is utterly oversaturated and academia is producing some, though not all, utterly worthless research. I would be earning more in actual secure work in the construction sector or military. And do not get me started on the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine should have some degree of immunity to these. Story 94. Answer all of my mother's phone calls. I miss her and would do anything to hear her voice again. Story 95. I left the dead-end job that treated me like garbage. I got a job when I was 17 that I enjoyed for a couple of years and moved up. However, The job conditioned me to think a 20-cent raise every 3 years was normal, and getting paid $1 over minimum wage as a manager working 40 hours a week with no benefits was acceptable. I was scared to leave because I was comfortable and afraid to start something new. I finally left after 11 years when I was passed up for a promotion for a position I had already been doing for years without extra pay. The position was given to someone who had been with the company for about 10% of the time I had but showed initiative. Where I am now is not perfect, but I am happy and treated much better, working with people I actually enjoy being around. I do feel I would be further ahead in life if I had left that job earlier, and I often regret not doing so. Story 96. Not cheat on my kid's mom, and treat her better. I don't know what was wrong with me. Shame. Story 97. I should have listened to bugs and taken a left turn at Albuquerque. Story 98. Definitely would not have gone back to school for nursing. Story 99. Be a better girlfriend. I was lucky to have committed and devoted boyfriends in my 20s. I was too entitled to appreciate the things they did for me. They did not deserve that. Story 100. Recovering alcoholic here. I would have gotten sober much earlier. That being said, I like the person I am today and may not be that person if I did not put myself through all that difficulty. Story 101. Not gotten into the relationships I got into. Looked for a better paying job sooner. Saved money. Would have stayed at home longer instead of leaving at 17. Story 102. Keep those Bitcoin. Communicate your feelings. And do not misunderstand any circumstances involving the yoga teacher. Story 103. Join the union. Stay at home until I have saved enough for a down payment. Story 104. Do not drink, actually finish college, and get a job that does not harm the body. Story 105. I would tell Patricia how I felt about her. I missed my chance 35 years ago. Story 106. Oh, so many things that later came back to haunt me in later years. I do not know where to start. Story 107. Inform me that a certain large technology corporation exists and that I can obtain a technology job as a contract employee to get my foot in the door. This is better than waiting years until the peak of Intel started declining, leading to being laid off and repeatedly moving between temporary agencies. Story 108. Do not spend money on unnecessary things. Take the first attempt at college seriously. Do not waste time with people who just want to keep you engaged without genuine interest. Story 109. Invest in things I know about now. Other than that, nothing. Story 110. With the knowledge I have today, I would invest better. Story 111. Save every penny, work as hard as I could, focus on my future, and stay away from alcohol and the party life. Do not care about what anyone thought of me. Learn to properly diet and weight train. Story 112. If I could go back to age 19, I would not go to the movie night that prompted my ex to start grooming me. I would have moved across the state with my father and siblings instead. Instead, I ended up wasting 5 years trapped in an abusive relationship in a terrible town, gaining nothing but trauma. I could have had a degree by now. I could have had an actual career and not been a disappointment to my father. I would not have missed so much of my baby sister's life. I would not have had a miscarriage. I would not be stuck in this frozen state where I do not understand how to improve my life from the level it is at now. Story 113. Stop smoking and binge drinking, seek counseling, and save for the future. Story 114. Learned about the Boglehead method and spent more time with grandparents. Story 115. I would not have gone on that blind date that led to a failed marriage and a ruined life. Story 116. Therapy sooner. I didn't realize my mental illness was not normal. Once I realized that I did not have to live with mental anguish, life got better. Story 117. Nothing. Seriously. Where I am in life now at 45, I could never have imagined. I had an awesome time in my 20s, broke most of the time, sleeping rough, but it was fun. That taught me how to enjoy life. Now, living stable with a good job and housing, I know how to enjoy my situation. Story 118. I did not want to waste any of my time at my first job after college. That place was very toxic, but I thought it was normal. Story 119. I am in my mid-20s and feel like there is nothing I want to change at the moment. I want to focus on caring less about what others think and put more effort into being happy. Story 120. Absolutely nothing. I had a horrible first marriage, and you would think I would choose not to marry her, but if I had not married her, I would not have my 2 children and my 2 grandchildren. I will take what I have, a great life. Story 121. Maybe just stop wasting so much time. I am 36 and working on my Doctor of Philosophy right now. It is not the worst thing, but I could have already finished this journey. Better late than never, right? Story 122. As someone who just turned 30, I would go back and try again. Extreme emphasis on try. So many missed opportunities. Story 123. Instead of drinking for the next 15 years, focus on physical fitness. Running and lifting whenever I felt depressed. I would be in peak shape. Story 124. Do not waste so much time with the people I wasted so much time with. Story 125. 1. Go to a better university and obtain a degree that is actually useful. 2. Prevent my parents from making financial decisions that haunted our family for over a decade. 3. Encourage my parents to have regular medical checkups to help prevent slow and painful illnesses. 4. Choose my friends more wisely and avoid investing time and energy in people who abandoned me when my life faced challenges. 5. Do not waste 6 years with my ex. Story 126. Saved and learned to drive earlier so that I could have a car much faster. I did not realize how limiting it could be to not have one. Story 127. I would find friends and spend more time with them. I would not gain all this weight and would try to be healthy. I would try not to be so alone and scared of people. I would avoid Reddit and social media and focus on being with people. I feel lonely all the time and I am afraid to reach out to anyone because I never know what to say. My life is boring with not much going on besides work and my obesity. I am constantly afraid to talk to anyone because I don't know what to say. I don't do anything because I am so scared. Story 128. I would hope I would magically learn how to work socially and politically. Things would have been much easier. I would have needed a different upbringing entirely for that, though. Story 129. Go to therapy. Tell the person I had feelings for that I invested more. Story 130. Save money, work on myself, not waste my time with people I dated, never drink alcohol. The list is long. Story 131. End relationship with Ron, Sam, and Phil, then marry Malcolm and never look back at Kurt. Story 132. Do not listen to your girlfriend and buy that Bitcoin you thought was a good idea. Story 133. Dump the loser because he will never change. Go to animation school. Move to the place I have always wanted to move to. Take chances. Stop worrying about what people think because they are not in my life now anyway. Keep making music and art because I miss it so much. I wish I had not lost myself trying to make everyone else happy. Story 134. I would have joined the Air Force as a door gunner instead of infantry in the Marines. Maybe I would not have developed arthritis at 33. Hindsight is 2020. I did not even know about some Air Force jobs like door gunner and tactical air control party. Story 135. Save money. Don't waste time on men who are not treating me well. Get a job in technology and venture capital sooner. Story 136. Do not get stuck working at that job. Make better decisions instead of always thinking you are right. Story 137. Invest all my money in Bitcoin and use protection. Story 138. Remain single. Move to another state. Have as much fun as possible. Learn how to invest in the stock market, provided I have money to invest. Basically, stick to my morals and dreams and not ruin my life. Story 139. The moment I met my ex, I would not give him the time of day. Meeting him derailed all the hopes and plans I had made for my future. Not knowing him would have put my life on an entirely different healthy trajectory. Story 140. Think about my wife's needs instead of just mine. I thought I was doing a good job, but she felt like I only cared about what I wanted. She was hesitant to speak up. Story 141. There is literally nothing I can change in my 20s. All this depression and everything can only be changed if I could go back to my teenage years and never enter that relationship. My 20s would be everything I ever imagined them to be. But I cannot do that, and I am exhausted now at 25, feeling hopeless and helpless, and honestly see no other way out. Story 142. Focus on your career and stop wasting time on temporary people who are so-called friends. Story 143. Even though I am 28, I will probably save money and avoid buying things I do not need. Story 144. Be kind sooner. I started my adult life as a racist, homophobic, hot-headed person. I did not realize how much my life would improve the moment I changed. Story 145. I would not have wasted time with people who did not have my best interests at heart. I would have focused on developing myself more as a person and taken my career path more seriously. I would have adopted a solid, healthy lifestyle and started weightlifting. Story 146. I would have gone to therapy earlier. I was very troubled in my mind due to an abusive upbringing, which really affected my relationships and career. I am still working on healing in my late 30s. Story 147. Wish I had known I had other options. They were invisible to me then. Now I tell my grown children when they think they are up against a wall, let's look for the invisible options that you will be able to see easily in 20 years. I know they are there, and they always are, though not always easily seen. Story 148. Wish I had spent some of my 20s learning more about finances and investments. It definitely would have saved me a lot of sleepless nights and frustrations in my early 30s. Story 149. I wouldn't have wasted my 20s with a man-child who didn't want me but didn't want to let me go. I didn't realize I was following a trail of crumbs until I finally left, healed, and met a man who loves me and isn't afraid he is settling. Story 150. Be active every day and stop spending money so frivolously. Look out for your future self. No one else is going to. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.